All right. Gonna start the workshop off tonight. Thanks everybody for coming. So first thing on the work session, budget modifications. Everybody get a chance to look at them? Yep.
Yes,
Any issues?
none.
I'll put some tools. No? All right.
Not sharp.
Before we move to the hearing, I'm gonna jump to number 3. Planning board member position. We did, Lori got a hold of me about, a member that's, kind of in bad standings. He hasn't made it to a meeting since last June, reached out to him a bunch. But we do have to do a due process with him. So we have to offer that to him. So tonight we'll be setting a date for a due process hearing for him at the next meeting. If he doesn't show up and we don't hear from him, then we can just replace him. So, that's the only thing on that. All right, next, the public hearing law, zoning law amendment. So we on April 10th, we got a letter from the MLDC asking us to make some changes for potential development for potential economic development on project at 112. We are excited to the opportunity for the town has the potential of creating substantial amount of tax ratables and new jobs. This potential projects with them, we've determined that some of the portions of our code makes a little challenging for anybody who wants to develop in the town. We have this all up there if anybody wants to grab the whole thing. It's a long read. But generally, just making some changes in the zone and the overlay zone and also the IC zone. The major changes in the IC zone would be that we allow fast food restaurants. That isn't allowed in there in the bulk table. And then the other thing in the overlay zone would be to have, actually, it would be overlay and IC to have storage sheds. Nowhere in the town has storage sheds. So we think those are 2 pluses in both of those zones. The IC zone right now has like 2-acre parcels in the IC zone for all the businesses are allowed in the IC zone. I did put the current zoning laws out there and the bulk tables if everybody wanted to see them. So those are the things that are allowed in both the IC zone and the overlay zone. And the overlay zone, we're just really wanting to add self-storage units. The biggest thing is we're looking to decrease the 25-acre parcels in the overlay zone down to 3 for small businesses to thrive in those areas. One of the reasons why we think 25 acres is too much is that when they made this rule in 2019, they wanted big projects in the overlay zone. I'm not for big projects up on that mountainside. I'd hate to see the whole mountainside clear cutted. If somebody came in there and decided to build a warehouse or some of the other things that are allowed in that zone. Actually, I got it right here. Which are truck terminals and distribution centers, including limited retail sales associates. Therefore, those things are already allowed in the overlay zone, but they have to be 25 acres. What we're trying to accomplish is make them a little smaller so you don't take big chunks of the woods out of the overlay zone. I'm very pro-business. I want business to come here. It helps with the tax base, gradables. Even though a lot of this stuff brings business to the area, like the Bashakil and everything else, and they make money in the businesses that are already in the village of Wurtsboro. We do not get sales tax money from that. Neither does the village. It's a big economic problem with both the village and us. Eventually, with the way everything's going up in this world, we should start rethinking about doing the master plan and comprehension plan all over again. Actually, when I was at the planning board, Mort Storben, who was on the board at the time, a big part of that whole comprehension master plan, said that every 5 years you want to replace the comprehension plan because times change, economy changes, and everything else. And we've seen that just in Mamakining. Somebody that bought a house in 2019 can double their money in 2025 because the house prices through around the whole place went through the roof. People who live on the lake, you live on a lake and you bought a house for $150,000 in 2018, you'd probably get $300,000 or $400,000 for it right now. So we're just trying to keep up with the times and trying to keep business in here to help taxpayers, keep their taxes down. And to me, that's very important. This board has always been trying to help the community and everything else like that. And one of the big things is being able to keep the taxes down. Last year, we had a big jump because of Kohl's. Kohl's finally got off the pilot program and was assessed at their price that they're supposed to be, $11 million. That helped our tax base a lot. Probably everybody's seeing a $40 or $50 decrease in their taxes. And I can tell you, it probably came from that because it raised our ceiling of what the town is worth. Now, the state says we're way off still, and that's why our ratio is so low. We're at 34%. And that's, what do they call it?
Equalization rate.
Equalization rate. Sorry. The equalization rate's at 34. The state wants us to be at 100. So 100 means that we really should reassess everybody in the town. Now, we cringe when we talk about reassessing because I do not want to reassess this town, but we haven't since 1998. All right. So if you bought a house before 1998, you're still working on the rates that were from 1998. Anybody that builds a new house, they're getting charged the regular rate when they're paying the taxes on most of them. It costs us a lot of money to reassess in a range of like $300,000 to $400,000. And that was the last time that we did it in 1998. It was that price. I could just imagine what it is now, probably $500,000 to reassess. But they say we get it back because of the amount of money we'll make in taxes. Now it's separated in three ways. Some people are going to go down in taxes. Those are the new people that have just built houses in the last so many years. A lot of them will stay the same, but all the older houses, you're going to see increase, just like I just said. You bought your house for $150,000 a long time ago, it's double the rate. So your assessment's going to go up huge. So for us not to reassess, we want business to come in here and have higher ratables. Now, I know this was brought up at the last minute, everybody seems to think, but it really wasn't. The MLDC gave us their letter on April 16th. We had it on our website after that. And then at our last meeting, we set a public hearing for tonight. So if you didn't hear about it then, and the bad part about it was everybody got this blast 2 days ago or a day ago. And it's really not fair to the board because it's not our fault that not everybody knew about it. We can't call every person in the town. We see this all the time when we have 7 members or 7 people in the audience watching our meeting. Kathy's one of them. But, so, it's great that you guys are involved, but if you don't hear all our meetings, you don't know what's involved all the time. And then we get a blast and it sounds like we're sneaking something by you. This board has never snuck anything by anybody. It never wanted to. So we've always been a good board, try to be proactive with everything. And I think it was a little unfair that, we're getting, bad press because all of a sudden somebody put out one negative thing and it's terrible. And I will tell you, and I know it came from the Bashak Hill Association, but I talked to the president and vice president last Monday. And I explained the whole thing to them. And you guys could have got a blast then and researched this a little bit, but they didn't. And then all of a sudden the day before, and it kind of ticks me off a little bit because we're not a board like that. You know, and then everybody's coming in here hot thinking that we're trying to get one over on you, and we're not. You know, we're doing what's best for the town and being pro-business. Now, are there some hiccups in this? Probably. But in the long run, this is good for the town. And everybody that doesn't like building on the side of a mountain and everything else like that, you should be in favor of this because we're knocking it down to 3 acres. So we'll take a huge gap out of something that would be a huge warehouse on that side of the mountain. I know I wouldn't want to look at it. I mentioned it to a few people today. You got that house on Rustic Hill Road that cut out a big swath, and it's the only A-frame you can see. I had that discussion with Mary Allison this morning. And it's horrible that this big cut in the woods is in everybody's view. You know, so the other thing I wanted to talk about too is this board is fighting tooth and nail to try and keep an exit open on 114. And why? To keep business in the village of Wirtsboro. But meanwhile, we don't have business in the town of Mamakinney. We have less than 20 businesses in the town of Mamakinney. And most of them are all under 3 acres. Kohl's is 89, but then we have New York Truck Parts is like 15. I have a whole list here. You know, but most of them, you look at Dollar General, it's 1.4 acres. Days Inn is 1.7. So, I mean, these businesses flourish in small lots. And that's what we want. We want the small businesses. And then we also have where in this new law, where we would be able to have stuff in the overlay zone, also in the IC zone, construction yards. We don't really have them. And we get calls all the time in the building department saying, you know, Joe Schmo's got his landscaping stuff all over his yard. I don't want to look at it. And it's a violation. But where else is he going to go and have a construction yard? And especially, why would it be 25 acres? So these are things that we're trying to make a little bit more business friendly and try and get this to work out for everybody.
I commercial property like everybody else that do at $80,000.
But at the end of the day, all that property on the mountain is already commercial.
I had property.
Yeah, and you're not happy about it, right?
I live on the solo, but that I had to buy it, and that's how it is. And everybody else is part of your yard. So how does that work?
Right.
I gotta pay double commercial property that everybody else that operates that in their yard.
Exactly. So it is a problem. So this is some of the problems we'd like to fix. So. Yeah, and you can get your chance to speak in public comment. So, all right, where else will I threw me off. So, but like I said, we're gonna listen to everybody tonight and see what they have to say. And then we'll go from there. Go ahead.
I mean, if I could offer one thing, I mean, zoning is very complicated. But reading some of the comments, I've been on Facebook and seeing, you know, a lot of people are they're you know, writing like their hair's on fire. I think part of the problem is that you drive up the mountain, all you see is trees in the woods, you know, and it's been like that for, you know, time, who knows how long. The zoning changes that turned that commercial have been in place for 6 years. And as Mike told you, the things that are already allowed to go in there, light industry, there's all kinds of things that potentially could go on the mountain already. Nobody's trying to sneak something in. I've been hearing bait and switch. They're going to put some light industry or put some businesses in there, and then when they fail, it's high density housing, and that's the story that we hear all the time. The town of Mount Decatur doesn't allow for high density housing anywhere in any of our zones. It's not a bait and switch. It's a way to get smaller businesses to come in and be able to offset some of the taxes. And the plan of keeping them a little bit smaller, I think, is a great plan. Like I said, at this point, at 25 acres, where are you gonna put a large piece of industry on the side of that mountain? I mean, they're gonna come in and they're gonna clear cut, 25, 30, 40 acres, and then use quite a bit of it. Keeping them smaller, there's a lot of in the zoning. There are allowances. There's setbacks. There's side yards and front yards. I mean, things that would keep a lot of the trees, keep a lot of this hidden. It's going to be off the road, so it's not something that you're going to be driving around and having this glaring industrial site looking at it. It's like I said, it's something that had been planned for years and years, and it has not been utilized because nobody really wants to turn around and buy 25 acres and put something in an area in some of these areas that just won't accommodate it. So in order to move forward and try to attract some businesses, we'd like to make some plans. And I live on the lake. I don't want to see huge industry, but I think this is a way that we can get some business ratables in and keep it friendly and make our lives better in the town.
No, nothing's been brought to any planning board or nothing yet. So until we know then that, there's been some speculation on some things that have been brought around, but nothing yet. We're okay.
Like this.
Yeah.
Start zoom in. We can't put it up on the projector.
Sorry, I'm late. If we pull down all the.
When you come up here,
Down by Pier Park.
the interchanges are ranked 115, 113, 112. The property with the blue slots, that's the overlay zone. So these are all, areas that are allowed to have businesses in the overlay zone. Mountain Greenbelt's over here. So Mountain Greenbelt, it does have some businesses, but very few. Like you can have a brewery and you can have a kennel and stuff like that. But you still have to have 10 acres to build a house. Even in the overlay zone. If you wanted to build a house, it's still a resident that you have to have 10 acres. So.
Mike.
Mike, we should
Yeah, Mike,
probably open.
why don't we wait for the public hearing for all these comments?
No. No, it's not so good. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that if they're not already, that when we talk about 3 acres, that's gross. So in a property that has steep slopes, there's going to be subtraction to it. You might need, for instance, 7 acres of steep slope to be able to get 3 acres of
net.
net.
That's what I thought. You can have medical offices, conference centers, park and rides, towing business, public and private emergency services, tourist information, golf courses, resorts, hotels, motels, planned residence. It's all here. We have the paperwork up here. So all of that is allowed to be married. Where truck stops, warehouse. They're the interchange zones. Interchange zones. That's where you're allowed to have this. So you gotta know the zoning. That's why it takes a while to understand the zoning. I know, there's different one that own different pieces.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter who owns the property? What's the?
I know. No, I saw.
All right, so
Hey, Tyler. You want to pull that?
No, because.
Let's just save it all for the public hearing.
and we're gonna do that public hearing. Did you sign your name on the thing? You can ask your questions then for the public hearing. All right, so with that said, we're gonna. Anybody else have any comments? Matt, did you get out what you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Gary, Jim?
Are lumber yards included?
Yes. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna close the work session and we're gonna go to the business meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What? Oh, Brittany can't hear me? Brittany can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Everybody's gotta be quiet because like I said, when the person's talking, we don't need any background noise because then they can't hear on Zoom. And I know we have at least 10 people on Zoom. So we're gonna start out with the public hearing note, the public hearing, so Karen will read off who's first. Yeah, John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I speak pretty close to it.
All right. Well, good evening, Mr. Supervisor and town board members. My name is John Lavelle. I'm the chairman of the Mount Katy Local Development Corporation. I'm here tonight on behalf of our board of directors, some of whom are here with us. We've got Bill Cooley, who some of you know, Ashley D. Maria from Music Woodsboro is here. Dave Leibolt, I know you all know. We also have Alex Goodman from our planning board. We have Eric Mountain from the Two Farms Brewery down in Winterton. We have Kelly from the Little Pebble Farm out in Westville, and also John Cronin with John Cole's Donald. We are the economic development agency for our county. Our goal is to try and improve the business and economic climate here in the county. In recent years, we've been focused primarily on ecotourism type projects. Yes. So in recent years, we've been focused primarily on ecotourism type projects. We invented the Mamakating Farmers Market. Our volunteer board has staffed and run that for the last 6 years. We invented the Travel Stories Trail hiking app. Every year we create the Mamakating calendar, which seeks to promote our cultural resources here in town. But I got to tell you, it's not easy to be an economic developer here in the town of Mamakating because nobody wants to build anything. And ever since we adopted that master plan 6 or 7 years ago, the only significant new commercial construction we've had in town is a Dollar General. And that's not good enough. The vast majority of our zoning in town it's all residential, which means every time the school bill goes up, it's the residents that have to pay that difference. We need to have more better businesses in our town. The master plan took much of the commercial zoning that used to be spread all around the town and concentrated it around the interchange exits. We agree with that philosophy. That's a good philosophy. But the zoning that got put in place in those areas is so restrictive that here we are 6, 7, 8 years later, and absolutely nothing has been built. Nothing around any of these interchanges. No new jobs, no new ratables, no commercial construction for our contractors to be out working. Now, we've heard there are some questions about the 3-acre zoning proposed. I guess our thought on that would be, look at the village of Worcester. We've got a tremendous number of really successful, super thriving, locally owned businesses that employ a whole bunch of people. And I doubt that the vast majority of those are not even on 1 acre. But if you take a small business person that wants to locate or is considering locating in the town of Mamakating, and you tell them, if you want to be in our town, sorry, you've got to buy 25 acres to do your project, even if you only need 2 or 3. They're just going to go somewhere else. And that's exactly what they've been doing. That's why nothing has been built here. So we think that the changes you are proposing will be helpful in promoting business in our town. The 25-acre thing is for massive scale projects. We don't want massive scale projects. You don't want them in our residence, don't we? 25 acres is 1 million square feet. We don't want 1 million square feet big project. We want to support small business. 25-acre zoning is extremely detrimental to small businesses. So I guess we are hopeful that these changes might result in at least some businesses being built and brought into town and creating new jobs and labels. We absolutely believe that these proposed changes are 100% consistent with the intent of the original master plan. I was on that committee. I was there. Know that. So in summary, I guess the Mamakating Board of Directors would like to thank you for your efforts to try and improve the business climate here in the town. We support the adoption of this local law. We think it will be good for the town and the town's residents. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean. Just remind everybody, it's 3 minutes each individual. If you're gonna say, if somebody's already spoke or 2 or 3 people spoke about the same thing that you can just come up and say that otherwise we'll be here. I think, how many pages you got? Huh? 18. All right. That's not that bad. All right. So we'll go with number 2. Karen. Liz. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name's Elizabeth Zambuto. I put my name first, but Rob Rogers needs to speak before me.
Hi there, Robert Rogers. Couple things first, and then I'll get to my notes. Small businesses, great, definitely. Everything that's being added to the table is not a small business. Storage facilities are usually national chains with either franchise or they're a large group that's building those things. You need a lot of money to put that type of structure up. Fast food restaurants, same thing. To put a McDonald's in, you need what, $5-10 million just to buy the franchise? That's not small business. So I think there's a little disconnect with the reason or the excuse for that. What I'd like to point out is this thing is coming to the town board before a secra was done. My understanding is any local law that would amend zoning code can be introduced as an environmental review must be conducted. Environmental impact assessment must be published first and must be provided to the public for review. The EIS then forms the basis of the scope determination, which is either a type 2 or type 1. And type 2 is determined not to significantly affect the environment, but a type 1 would significantly affect the environment. We're dealing with a mountain greenbelt area. To me, that was put as a mountain greenbelt because there is an environmental impact if you're touching that area. I think any decision or any analysis of this plan to change the zoning needs to go through those process first. You can't just say, we think it's a type 2 and just keep move forward. I think it should be done, the EIS done, and public is provided with the information.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Any responsibility with that?
I'm just gonna quickly read it.
Liz, hold on one second. Ben wants to respond to that.
Yeah, just a quick comment on the seeker and the environmental review. Before the board approves a local law, the board will comply with seeker. They've started that process already. The board has received and reviewed a full environmental assessment form, part 1, and a full environmental assessment form draft, part 2. An environmental impact statement is not necessarily required. I don't believe it is in this instance. But again, before the board approves a local law here, they will comply with the environmental requirements. Yes.
Yeah, we'll put it on.
We'll put the environmental assessment forms on the website. You can see those. Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Liz. I don't want to take your time.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Zambuto, Yankee Lake. Thank you, everybody, for listening. The proposed law goes against the town's recent 2015 amendments to the zoning code, which have been held valid, proper, and consistent with the town's 2001 comprehensive plan, which I know you mentioned. It was well thought out and upheld by the courts. Remember, Weir versus Town of Mamakating. The reasoning provided in the local law that allegedly justifies this plan to increase bulk is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan because other bulk requirements will remain the same is not compelling in the slightest. This reasoning, if one could even call it that, is illogical and would enable the board to justify any future bulk change, regardless of environmental impact, simply because the board decided to amend some but not all bulk regulations. Likewise, the reasoning provided for use changes is equally unconvincing, simply stating that fast food establishments are similar to uses currently permitted and that self-storage facilities cause minimal impacts without adequately studying the same is inadequate. What would the purpose of use categories be without the zoning code, if not to differentiate between similar but different uses? As such, any proposed bulk change to bulk or use regulations inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan must be studied thoroughly and a hard look must be taken. This proposed local law only serves to add to the existing uncertainty of the I-86 reconfiguration, making this an inappropriate time to introduce such a zoning change. Moreover, the Sullivan County Division of Planning stated as such in its site plan review, advising the board to consider the uncertainty which may impact current and future zoning changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Who we have next, Carol?
Good evening, gentlemen. Once again, I'm going to ask this board, please don't circumvent the processes that are designed to include citizens in our government. The town has a specific comprehensive process to examine and change our zoning laws. This process is extensive, it is intensive, and it is deliberative. It's a big deal. This proposal deserves deliberation on the part of our citizens. When someone asks for a change to local law and fails to include reasonable efforts to involve citizens, alarm bells ring. When the town has kept quiet until absolutely required, those alarm bells should be and are screaming. I strongly encourage this board to use the authority to include, not limit, public view. Go talk to the various constituencies in the town, hold ward meetings, meet with the business owners, meet with the neighborhood and village boards, Meet with the BKAA and other local organizations. Get their input. They deserve it. Ask yourselves, why the rush? Why offer only this one evening for public consideration? This feels unseemly. If someone tells me that they have time to do what they want, but there isn't time for me to review, no time for me to research, no time for me to chat with my neighbors, again, alarm bells are screaming. And Mike, I just want to close with the fact that I very much appreciate the fact that you walked over to me tonight and you started to explain these things. And I appreciate the comments from the board. But as you can tell from my response of this room, we didn't know this before. I was at the meeting 2 weeks ago when you mentioned we were going to have a public hearing. You didn't tell us what the essence was of what's going on. Frankly, I'm not sure I'm going to be opposed to this. I just don't know because I haven't had enough time to understand the process. So I thank you for the time.
Thank you. I think we got it as the highest we can get. Sorry, Beth. Yeah, somebody's got to speak closer to it. That's all. Because you can hear me, right? They're all the same. Well, when I was talking to that, nobody had a problem. Yeah. Karen. Annette.
Pick you up and say it again.
She's right there.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
So if I did an internet search for what's the definition of between a rock and a
They
hard
can't hear you
place?
again.
If I did an internet search saying what is between a rock and a hard place, it would be a picture of you guys. Every township is a business and businesses must change to keep up. Otherwise you go bankrupt. And I've been in towns that have gone bankrupt. It's not pretty. However, chain stores, Dunkin' Donuts, those are not small businesses. The Emporium, Crystal Connection, those are small businesses. Those are the items that should come in. I'm not even opposed to some medical facilities. You know, I'm also a little concerned because I imagine that when they presented Woodbury Commons to everybody and told them their taxes would not go up, that Woodbury Commons would in fact help them with their taxes. They believed it, but I know many people that lost their homes because Woodbury Commons actually inflated their taxes. Because with big growth comes more need for road repairs and more traffic lights and just so many more that the businesses are not keeping up with. So I'm all for the small businesses and I am all for a business and the township to be a good business that grows and everybody prospers. But I am not for any chain stores, factories. I agree with you. We don't want the mountains to be all mucked up. I moved here because it's beautiful. I moved here because there's not a lot of people. In my opinion, the best part about Middletown is that it's 20 minutes away. And I do not want to be another Middletown. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia. You can pull that down, Patricia.
I moved up here from Rockland County. I worked in Orange County. I saw Rockland County start with little moves like this, and then I saw Orange County turn into Rockland County. Now I'm living in Sullivan County, And I'm seeing it happen all over again. There's not enough information. A small business is not a strip mall. It's not McDonald's. It starts with little things. You get things zoned in, and then it moves out and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't want to live in Orange County or Rockland County. Please, you're signing your death warrant, Sullivan County, if you agree to these changes.
Thank you. Frank.
At least you know most.
Can everybody behind me hear me?
You have a
Good.
good voice, yeah.
Frank Coviello, many of you know me. I'm a resident here of the town of Mankato since 1975, and specifically the village of Wardsboro. I have 5 pages of notes here. I doubt I'm going to get that in 3 minutes, so we're going to just kind of breeze over something. First of all, let me say that I usually speak on behalf of myself as a resident, but at the consent of Leslie Otto, the president of the Batchkill Area Association, who could not be here this evening, I am also speaking on behalf of the BKAA this evening. I'd like to make it clear that the BKAA, and especially myself, we are not opposed to development. We're not opposed to zoning changes, but we feel that this particular set of zoning changes was presented to us in too short a time frame and with insufficient information to make a educated judgment on where we're going. I'll give you an example. I only found out about this about a week ago. And at the time, the information provided to me was that there was a proposal to put a truck stop in the overlay zone. And so I did some testing there, Mike, you're aware of what I did from the planning board meeting. Just this morning, I found this document on your webpage with more specifics about what some of the changes are. In looking at these changes, only half of them are kind of consistent with the current zoning. And then the other half are not. It just seems like the drop in the acreage required is too dramatic. And without enough time to really do more research and assess this kind of thing makes me personally very nervous. I would like to get back to my notes because I will read some specific things. I'd like to make it clear that we are not opposed to development, as I said, as long as that development is within the Mankato Master Plan and consistent with Chapter 199, our zoning laws. And while I understand and appreciated the reminder again this previously, that the 25 acres currently required to work in the overlay zone is rather excessive, and I understand that. I think dropping that 25 in some cases to 2 or 3 acres just does not seem reasonable. Doesn't sit with me comfortably, nor does it sit comfortably with the Batchkill Area Association. I'd also like to point out that, as all of you know, the interchange zones are located in the Burlingham area, 115, 113, and 112. It is my
Wrap it up. That is 3 minutes. Go ahead.
okay.
Just wrap it up.
I'll just stop and I'd like to say a final comment. Please consider extending the comment period. Give us some more time to look this over. We don't want to kick you down, and we appreciate everything that you guys do all the time, but we need a little bit more time to look this over, come back and talk in a more educated fashion.
Thank you, Frank.
For your patience and your attention.
Thank you, Frank.
Hi, my name is Lisa Schnitzer. I'm actually here reading a comment from Leslie Otto, who's the president of the Bashkill Area Association. So she says, "Good evening. I apologize for not attending this evening. I do have some points I wish to present. First, I'd like to begin by saying that I'm not personally or as the president of the Bashkill Association against bringing business into the area. As a group, we understand the importance of encouraging growth within the town, but are presently concerned that the proposed zoning changes are happening too rapidly without proper thought as to how this will affect this crucial area to the local ecosystem, most importantly, the watershed long-term. A few questions, I'll just read them all. Was a seeker review done to check the environmental impacts these proposed changes would cause? The Mountain Greenbelt area that lies within the overlay zone off of exit 113 and 112 have been shown to be ecologically important to the Wurtsboro Valley watershed and the Bashkill. How would allowing more commercial development on only 3 acres instead of 25 affect this? 2, there are obvious geological differences between the overlay zone off exit 115 and the overlay zone off exit 112 and 113. Why can't we consider these 2 pieces separately? Presently, the property off exit 115 has already has a denser allowances for the commercial zoning, requiring only 2 acres to develop. Mountain Greenbelt zone has minimal development and requires 25 acres. In the past, it has been shown that dense requirement of the Mountain Greenbelt zone could be detrimental, resulting in stricter guidelines. So what changed? Why is there such a push to make these changes so quickly? Why hasn't there been further research or community notification? A letter from the county was recently uploaded on the town site stating they recommend leaving the changes to local determinations signed by the mayor of Bloomingburg. Clearly, this has been in the works longer than the 2-week notification that was given to the community and apparently the planning board. 4, why are the proposed zoning changes allowing for higher density commercially requiring only 3 acres when residential requires 10 acres per single family residence? Given the vagueness of the verbiage in the proposal, could this roll over into residential guidelines in the future? At the very least, can the verbiage be tightened up to specify commercial use only? 5, what projects are driving these changes so quickly? We have heard rumors of 2 specific projects, but upon asking have not received any confirmation or denial of either. And then back to the environment. Have there been any thought or consideration as to what happens when all the land off exit 112 to 113 is subdivided into 3-acre lots and developed? Not now, when there may be 1 or 2 projects, but down the road when there could be many more. When these loosened regulations make it much harder for the town to control what goes in, what will be the long-term effects? Why not leave the overlay zone as is and allow future projects to be heard by the board as special projects seeking approval? Or at the very least, drop the required acreage to 10 acres as the residential is and keep current restrictions. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and hope you will consider slowing down this process so more information can be obtained on how this will affect us all long term. Regards, Leslie Otto.
Thank you. We got next, Karen. Who? Oh, okay. Hello.
My name is Nate Lipton from Summitville. First, I want to echo what others have said. I'm not against business proposals here. I think we all could use new businesses. But when you say that this proposal is that people are saying it's too quick and it's not, I have to disagree with that. Because the comprehensive plan took a lot of time, a lot of thought to put together. And this proposal now has been around for a month. You said in April. I do think, I echo what others say, that I think we need more time to look at it. And even the planning board has said that there's some aspects of the law that needs clarification. So the planning board, who's kind of well versed in all these issues, hear that the law could be ambiguous. I think that we definitely need more time to look at it. And I think everybody here wants the same thing. We want to see business, we want to preserve the area, but we don't want to put a law in that could be then used by businesses or other folks coming here to do things that the public does not want, just because the law was poorly written and kind of pushed into, into enactment without being considered. So please also consider extending the public comment period so we can maybe make changes to the law that might be, solve some of the ambiguous pieces. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Lewis. I serve on this town zoning board. I know a lot of you from the zoning board, both up there in the audience. I just wanted to talk about, after hearing all the facts presented, I feel responsibly managed growth is an asset to our community. We need to use the assets in our community like 17. It's a wonderful corridor for us. Woodsboro Village is an amazing example of what traffic can bring to our community. Small business and all business can lower our taxes, and it's an investment in our community. It's also an opportunity for local people to grow and be a part of our community and take pride in our community. I offer a possible compromise in using the guidelines in 199-51 for the non-conforming uses. Potentially using those guidelines could create a special use variance. If you misuse, you're negated and your use is pulled. So you can't worry about a bait and switch or a use changing. I know a lot of people are worried about what could happen. So I think that being able to live, play, and shop and enjoying all the aspects of our community are important. So hopefully maybe we can use 199-51 to help shape and create a compromise with lowering the acreage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, looking for this.
I am Chris Lesser. There was 2 articles about this meeting here that seemed to me, my opinion, seemed to be all of a sudden put upon us. But I'll skip reading that. If anybody wants those 2 articles from the paper, they can have it. I'll read what I have here. Next in the timeline prior to this meeting was the planning board meeting last Tuesday, May 13th at 7 o'clock till 8:30, which was publicly unannounced. They were discussing town board proposal local law, which we are here tonight for. Supervisor Robbins spoke at length and depth about the need for these proposed zoning things, including aiding fast food restaurants. The discussion went on, and Alex Goodman mentioned some land changes that were expressed as an alternative by the planning board attorney. During this time, Alex Goodman listened and sometimes briefly spoke. However, he should have recused himself as he is a member of this MLDC board. You can't have somebody being in there in the audience and back here, back and forth, to and fro with his recommendation. He should have recused himself. Which in part was, sorry, during this time listening, so. Which in part is, remember, which in part, committing these zone changes, being Supervisor Robbins. As his meeting progressed, Alex's brother Peter Goodman spoke during Supervisor Robbins' discourse. He turned and said, the supervisor turned and said, Mr. Goodman, basically, my quote, see what you will be dealing with, in my opinion, when he becomes the next supervisor.
I was warning him.
Peter Goodman is on, as you can see in the red shirt, he's our town board member. On the planning board agenda number 4, town board requests written recommendation prior to this meeting tonight. This movement introduces and have a public hearing even before the public has listened to the need for changes. Appears to be that there is an agenda being masked by some changes in the zoning. It's going to happen I've been to hundreds and hundreds of meetings, and I've never seen any of this before, where all of a sudden the public hearing is put out, announced publicly by some of the people here, and then all of a sudden, a week or two later, we have the public hearing. We're just getting informed of what's going on here. Why? I heard what you said earlier, and there's still, to me, there's something going on in the background. They need for somebody from this LDC that they're pushing you, the supervisor, which that's what we're all here for now. Find what directly is going to happen here if these zoning changes are going to take effect. There's something to me that if it quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it must be a duck.
Thank you, Chris. None.
Oh.
Sean? Sean or Sean? Sean? All right, move on.
Someone else take their place?
Wait. Huh? The last name is Stack. Nobody coming up? All right, go to the next one. Next. Who? Noel Bartles.
Okay, good evening. Better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to shout.
Okay.
I have a couple of comments here. I've got some bullet points. I didn't have much notice about this. I learned about it yesterday, which is one of the first things I wanted to comment on. My understanding is there's some requirements for public hearings about being published, and there's some time limits that have to be met. I didn't hear about it. I didn't see it. Also, I wanted to say that we learned that there's a seeker process going on. That seems to be, that would seem to take longer than a month, perhaps. So this has been known or worked on for more than a month. I see that I picked up a piece of paper here that stated May 16th. That was we've already added permitted uses to IZ zoning district. So that's on the time aspect. You mentioned needing to increase the income to the area. So we talked about assessments not being done since 1998, I believe. And possibly at a cost of $500,000. Assessments can be done incrementally if they're going to be reassessed and the property value is going to be reassessed. We can do that incrementally. It doesn't have to go from 1998 to 2025. Let's see. The other thing was just the visual impact of having, I'm talking about the interchange areas. Coming over these beautiful ridges is just breathtaking. If we had to see a mobile sign or a McDonald's or any sign at all at that interchange, that would just be horrible. I'm not worried about, I'm not thinking about the overlays right now. I'm just talking about that area coming through exit 113 or 112 and seeing neon signs of any kind. The other thing I wanted to say was this dated May 16th. On the last page, the mayor of Bloomingburg is in support of this plan, which I think is interesting because he's got an environmental disaster in his own backyard. 120,000 gallons of, what is it? Wastewater filled with bacteria. It's a nightmare over there, but he's in support of all these zone changes. Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to say is I noticed there's some real estate developers here tonight.
So it's on their radar. It wasn't on our radar.
That's it.
Thank you.
I just want to note that the town board complied with all of the notice requirements.
Who's next? Kathy?
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Would ask you.
Okay, this thing really doesn't work as good as yours, just to let you know.
Okay.
So I'll talk as loud as I can. I've lived here my entire life and, I agree with everything everybody said here and John to some degree. I mean, he's in real estate. He's done everything to try to help with the eco area and build that up, which I think is very important. However, I do not agree, and it's actually appalling that you talk about increase or decreasing down to maybe 3 acres when you clearly said right in the beginning that it's a 10-acre minimum for a homeowner to build a house.
That's an
How
amount
could you
agreement.
go less than that, to be honest with you? So I personally find that kind of disgusting. But this area is gorgeous. It's why most of us live here. And as far as small business, I know something about small business because I had one in Wurtsboro. And once all the big stuff came to Middletown, it put us out of business. So you are not going to get a small business up there that is going to flourish. So that's a bunch of nonsense. If you were going to build something that's going to take away the beauty, as so many people here said, I think you're making a big mistake. And I do not trust anything that anybody says anymore out of the town of Mankato, to be honest with you, because it's all bull. I built a house here and then found out that Williamsburg has become an absolute nightmare. So you can say what you want, but I don't believe any of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Louis? I know, in Jeff, we didn't get to the, you seen, it's online, right?
Let's take a bathroom break.
Okay, I just had a couple general observations because literally I just heard about this driving back from the shore in Delaware yesterday. So let me just say, small business is very general term, okay? And it kind of sounded like, and I'm not putting words in your mouth or accusing you of anything, but you were kind of pushing it. So that makes me suspicious a little bit. I never really, and I filmed town board meetings in Ramapo, and they're very contentious, and that place is ruined over the 20 years I was there. I never heard anybody push for fast food restaurants. They create garbage, they create litter, they create more jobs of people you have to hire to clean up the garbage and litter. And I don't think that it's gonna, any businesses coming in, if anybody thinks that's gonna stabilize your tax base, you're crazy. That doesn't happen. Taxes always go up because employees have to get hired, whatever. The Palisades Mall, the first thing they did when it didn't work out is the owners of it sued the town of Clarkstown to try to get their assessment. And the town had to spend so much money on attorneys, didn't even matter if they won in the end. So it's a losing proposition. And I understand people have the right to do something with their property, but they don't have the right to get zoning changes. What you said before, I was a little confused on how the state wants equal 100% and it's 34. I don't understand what this would have to do with the state not care about that anymore. That's just like a rhetorical question. I didn't understand the whole premise. So if this gets built, all of a sudden the state doesn't care if we're paying lower assessment. A couple other things I would keep in mind. One of the reasons that this is attractive area and people like it here and everything is because we don't have McDonald's and we don't have this stuff spread all over the place. And if the town is looking for income, as I've mentioned to you before, and I think I met with you in your office one day, you take a ride around Yankee Lake and there are so many code violations and outright dumps and make these people pay up and you won't have a financial crisis at all. You'll have plenty of money in the kitty. And I mean that not as a joke.
It's terrible. And that's what makes people want to leave and get angry. I mean, you can't even clean up the stuff in your own backyard, and now you want to add more. It's like the Airbnb thing. Oh, you want to have this, that, and the other thing. You don't even have people enforcing the damn stuff we have now. And you want to add more to it. And you know it's going to fail. And you'll be out. And you'll run unopposed. And then things like that, they all give people a bad taste in their mouth, to be quite honest. Competition is a healthy thing, but not at the expense of the people that live here. You know, pro-business is always secondary to pro-resident, because the residents are the ones in the end that have to live with what happens with the business. And I really don't see, you know, gas stations, McDonald's, this and that. In 2030, you're not even gonna be able to sell gas-powered cars here anymore, brand new. So like having truck stops and this and that, it's all very gray. I don't know that much about it, but I get the feeling that there's something here that we don't know. And everybody's happy when everybody knows what's going on. And the last thing I would say is, I had a question. If somebody, you said if you lowered the zoning requirement, so somebody wouldn't clear cut 25 acres. Well, why wouldn't, and one business to take this 25 acres up, well, why wouldn't just 15 businesses go in and take a couple acres? Is it really gonna save any forest at all? I don't understand that. So anyway, that's all I had to say, but hopefully we'll all be back here in a week or two and this thing won't be decided until we all know a lot more and we're comfortable with it one way or another.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Lansdale. I'm the president of the Lakes Communities Alliance. I live in Wurtsboro as well. Just a couple things. One is, and I won't reiterate what Ms. Otto said from her Bashakil letter, but except to say that we all know this is an extremely precious area with the Bashakil and the Wurtsboro Mountain watershed down to the Bashakil is so critical that we protect that. I also, though, believe that our Route 17 is like our local road, and that's why I'm very much against them closing off exits. It's our main street. It's the main street for Rock Hill. It's the main street for Monticello. I don't see a problem with energizing those exits with some business. But I feel like the decision that we've been presented with today has not been fully baked. It seems a bit lackadaisical in that you just said, well, we'll just expand the interstate commercial out to the borders of the interchange economic zone overlay and we're done. I'm not really clear about all that, but what I would recommend is that the town hire an environmental planner to really take a hard look at what really needs to be done to bring the needed business into this town in a way that protects the environment and what's so precious to everyone here. Because I tell you, once they cut the trees down, they're not coming back. The other thing we could do is hire an expert in business planning who could look at what the town really needs in terms of businesses and how to bring them in. I mean, maybe one thing to do is to instead of expanding into the interchange economic zone overlay, just take the interchange commercial and make that a little bigger along the routes. I mean, I think it has to be rethought with some experts on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Brittany, you have anybody online?
I do.
How many you got?
I have 4 or 5. The first one is Kira.
Okay. Go ahead, Kara.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name's Kira Platt. I'm the administrative specialist for the Building Planning and Zoning Department, which is just a fancy title to say clerk. Normally on the other side of this, so I'll try to keep this short. In regards to this proposal, I believe that the town board, which is comprised mostly of residents of the town of Mamakating, as presenting this to the public with the sole interest of bettering and supporting the continuing growth of the
Here,
town. Oh,
Kira, slow down. Slow down.
sorry.
It's like speed reading.
I don't want to be too long. I typed something out. I think the proposal is being presented with the sole interest of bettering and supporting the growth of the town. I think that, as other people have stated at our planning board meeting and at the original 2016 and 2017 meetings for the comp plan before it was approved, the comp plan's a living document. It's due for updates, and that what you guys are presenting for the most part appears to be consistent with the town's vision statement. I did want to read just a quick snippet of the adopted comp plan in regards to the creation of the IC zone. The interchange commercial areas at exit 112 and 114, the interchange commercial area at exit 113, and the area west of Route 209 could support large-scale uses such as medical centers, distribution centers, travel centers, larger hotels, and other uses that benefit from convenient highway access and require larger tracks. I think seeing the zoning map every day helps me feel more comfortable with what's being presented, but I understand the concerns that fellow residents are having with the change, with the specific uses and acreage requirements for those uses, and the timing of this proposal, which isn't entirely the board's fault. But regardless, I think with the proper review and discussion, with proper definitions put in place, that this proposal could definitely and hopefully bring more business to the town, businesses that will ultimately benefit the town residents. I think it's important to point out that the town does have a design guideline that is part of the planning board process. An applicant has to adhere to that to show what the structure would actually look like prior to it being built. For example, the Dollar General, it's got the typical Dollar General look, but it also has a stone-like siding to keep it consistent with what the area looks like. The design guideline is something that's part of the approval process before the planning board can even approve it. It's something that they need to submit for their permit review, and it's something that can always be brought up after a certificate is issued. Likewise, these uses would still have specific height requirements, setback requirements, and the overall lot development coverage requirements, which again, that's the maximum amount of property you can actually develop for a lot. So whether it's tree clearing, whether it's the actual structure or not, parking, things like that. Without applying for a variance, receiving a denial and applying for a variance, you're not going to get new structures that are just smack dab on a property line or on the road. Even if they got a variance, it would have to go before the public. Same with the planning board process. It has to go before the public. Every project would be reviewed. It would be very public. One more note, people keep mentioning the GML review that was provided by Sullivan County on May 16th, and that the village mayor provided comment in favor of it. The GML review has to be sent to neighboring municipalities for comment because any changes to the zoning could affect them. So whether or not the municipalities choose to provide written comment, it's up to them. It seems like the village is the only one that actually gave something, which is why that comment was included with the county's letter. But anyway, I do think the public hearing should be kept open for additional time for comment and review. And that additional information should be provided or reviewed to reflect definitions for uses that may already be noted in the bulk tables or in the code book, but aren't actually currently defined. But otherwise, I wanted to thank the board for sharing this proposal. Thank you, Mike, for actually having these conversations with the public. And thank you for everybody coming out and commenting tonight.
Thank you, Kara.
Yep.
I hope everybody got that. At least most of it.
That was a lot. I got like personal. Good job.
Who else you got, Brittany?
William Demarest would like to speak.
Go ahead, William.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to appear on Zoom. I appreciate that. Not every municipality is allowing that nowadays, and so I thank you for that. My name is William Demarest. I'm a land use attorney with the law firm of Rupp Pfalzgraf in Albany, and we've recently been retained by Bashak-Hill Area Association in relation to this. And I want to first ask the board and repeat what a number of people have asked about keeping the public hearing open. Our office is still reviewing these amendments. The County 239 response was only recently made available. We haven't seen the planning board comments just yet, and we think that should be made publicly available as well before the public hearing closes. And there was a reference earlier to the EAF being made available on the town's website, and that would be helpful to inform public comments as well. Oftentimes we ask for written comment to be left open even for a period after the public hearing before the next meeting. Since I understand the board's next meeting is about 2 weeks, it would seem to make sense to just leave the public hearing open until the next meeting, especially with the Memorial Day holiday in between. As was noted earlier, seeker review needs to be completed. This is, I believe, a type 1 action, which of course, is presumed to require an environmental impact statement and have an significant environmental impact. A generic EIS is usually the preferred procedure for a zoning amendment change that expands the allowable uses or the scope of uses, which I think this amendment does both of. And so it would seem to be appropriate to look at a generic EIS. There's been talk about potential projects and the need to include those in the consideration to avoid segmentation. It's not just projects that are currently under consideration or have an application, but any that the board is aware of that should be considered. And just briefly, in our initial review, we've identified some concerning areas, some of which have been referenced. The last speaker noted the lack of definition for some uses. Self-storage facilities are just being proposed to be added, but there's no definition for that. And that should probably be included, along with, I would say, standards for the special use permit for such a use. While self-storage may not have some of the impacts of other uses, they often have visual impacts. There's fencing requirements, setback, traffic flow issues with self-storage facilities that should be addressed in the special use permit provisions. We also have concerns about an across-the-board drop in minimum lot size to 3 acres. It seems to create inconsistencies between the overlay and the interchange commercial zone that doesn't seem to fit with the overall zoning. It also creates inconsistency between uses that are, residential uses right next to a business use with inconsistent acreage. I know that there was a reference to wanting to avoid large-scale tree cutting. This could lead to unintended consequences of large-scale subdivision of large lots into a lot of small 3-acre lots, which would actually work to the exact opposite of what the board is trying to do to limit the size of tree cutting and could lead to larger scale. And we would encourage considering maybe alternatives. As I said, those are our initial thoughts, and we'd love the opportunity to submit additional comments, written or potentially oral at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Tom Senator.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
And I want to just start by saying thank you, everybody in the board, for everything you do. We know this is not an easy thing, and everything you're doing, it just gets people all riled up one way, but, I really appreciate, that you're working through this. But I do have to say, my biggest thing is, why rush? Because once you change, there's almost no going back. As other people have said, there's a lot of reasons why people are here, but one of the biggest reasons is the beauty, the nature, the rural area that we are up here for, right? We don't want this to be another Orange County. We don't want this to be another Rockland, like somebody else said. We need to keep the character of the area. So I think what we need to look at, and part of it is, the mountain green belt and that whole area, you do the 10 acres for everybody else, and all of a sudden somebody might build a beautiful house. And I know there's setbacks and everything, but right off to the left of them is, a McDonald's. I think the board and everybody has to take a breath. You're saying, well, you've had 2 months to do this. I think it took a year or two to get the master plan before, and now we're trying to make kind of a big change within a couple months. Let's just take a breath, look back. I know we need more ratables, right? We need to bring businesses. We just need to make sure we don't screw this up, right? And you know, I just want to keep this rural, and that was my whole point. Let's not make Mamakating Orange County. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Ezeal.
Okay. Hello? Brittany's not coming on.
I'm working on it.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
My name is Aziel Fleischman. As Kara mentioned before, this has nothing to do with the village of Bloomingburg. We were just asked by the county for our input on it. So we said that we're in favor of it, but this doesn't has to do anything with the village at all. Thank you very much. It's all for the town's decision.
Thank you.
That's all that I have online.
Okay. Thank you. So at this time, we're gonna keep the public hearing open for 2 more weeks to let people get, you know, written comments into us and then open it up at the next meeting. So, we'll leave it open for now and see what happens. So,
Mike, we should have a vote to continue the public hearing to whatever that date is
June
in
2nd.
June 2nd.
at 6 p.m.
We're gonna keep it open.
What's the date, June?
June 3rd.
Propose to keep the meeting open till June 3rd,
Yeah, the public hearing.
public hearing.
Will continue on June 3rd at 6 p.m.
I got a first. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So the next one was public comment too on any agenda or workshop, but that was the whole workshop. So we're gonna move on to highway superintendent report. Oh, Laura, you didn't write down your name. All right.
So, this is more of an announcement. I'm Laurie Green, the chairman of the Mamakating Planning Board. We did meet last week. It was on the agenda. We asked the public that were there, we were asked for comments by the planning board 4 or 5 days before. I spoke to Lisa. We didn't see anything. Sort of implied that we had seen something. We did not see something. I want to just correct a few things.
Here, Lori, talk into the mic more. They can't hear you.
All right. I'm trying.
Loud.
That's a
Loud,
thing to
soft
hear.
spoken.
All right. So, we did hold the meeting. We were asked to review this issue and make comments. We spoke for 90 minutes. It was a public meeting because it was a planning board meeting. The board chose to let all the people in the public that wanted to say something just to get in to inform us. When the meeting was over, we were tasked with writing comments. I asked Kira, I wish we would have spoken slower, please make the video of our meeting available as quickly as possible. She put it up last Tuesday night. So I want to tell you all that please go and watch it. It took us a lot of back and forth. I don't think I've eaten dinner before midnight, any night for the last 5 or 6 days. We did come up with our written comments this afternoon. They distributed copies of them. It's going to be on the website, I assume.
Yes.
Please go and read them. Okay, and that's The video is on just town of Mamacating. All the planning board meetings are on video. Usually it takes a month or two to get them up there as a favor. And I just want them to see, I was writing the notes, what exactly did we say? Here, we'll put it up maybe an hour after the meeting ended. So please go and look at it. Please go and read our comments.
All right, thank you, Lori.
Lori's.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. All right, so we're gonna go to Tom's highway report. Highway superintendent report.
It's like, okay, we're at it now. Go back.
Good evening, everybody. I first want to say it's great to have more than 5 people looking at my bed. So, now you get to hear from me first. One thing you get in this town are roads. Who can say the roads are just the best? Exactly. So, well, I do want to thank the board for the public comment as well as all that came out tonight. I'll give my report in short order. I went to Advocacy Day a couple of months ago to try to fight for more CHIPS funding. And the state allotted $50 million more dollars.
Oh,
Not
God.
communicated. We get 46,000. 46,000 gets less than a mile of road. So, but that's it. So with the $42,851.79 added to the already available CHIPS money that we're gonna get, we're looking around $90,000. I'll get the exact number for you. Didn't expect to see so many people. This is great. So we're looking to do about 9 miles of road this year. That's the goal. I think we'll be able to do it as long as it doesn't rain every day, which that's already what's happening. So, so the state did give their allotment out. We have 42,000 extra than what was originally proposed. Anybody that is not aware, CHIPS is the only way this town gets anything and consequently paid throughout the year. The line item for roads is rather small, gets you a very minuscule amount done, and that'd be 131 lane miles of road we have. In order to keep it in a program where we're making headway every year, we absolutely need that CHIPS money to come from the state to help us stay above the curve. So I do want to just make that point known. So hopefully we'll be able to do the roads that I have on 284 this year, plus a little bit. That's available. Obviously, we talked about that in January, and that's that. We continue to prep the roads on the list for resurfacing, and we've also started blacktopping smaller sections of road that need repair. Again, hampered because half the weeks have been rained, and so pretty much every Tuesday it stops being nice, and we have to go back to doing wet weather stuff, and that's not paving. And then lastly, we are still going around the town sweeping as we do every spring. And soon enough, I'll say this quietly, we might have to start doing some mowing. With the
Careful.
much love.
Careful.
Not that. We'll check. And that's all I have. You guys don't have anything? Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't know who I am, I'm super, I'm available down there. Pretty much 10 hours a day. So, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, supervisor report. I only have a couple of things. Big weekend this weekend for the town. Memorial Day, the 26th, the VFW and American Legion are having their parade at 12:30. It's a nice little ceremony for the veterans. So come out and support your veterans on Monday at the 26th at 12:30. On Saturday at 1 p.m., we're doing an unveiling of the Palmieri Patriot Pomeroy. Thank you.
Where is she?
I've said it enough to her and I still got it wrong. Burial marker. So that is on Saturday. Verdana is a big part of this. She got this for the Stanton Cemetery. And come out and show your support. for our historian and our fallen patriots that have passed and are buried in Stanton Cemetery. So that'll be 1 o'clock on Saturday. We had the grand opening this weekend for the kayaks at the Meek. It was not a great turnout, but it was a good turnout. Me and Lori went out on the kayaks. Actually, Karen Barnes took the last ride out on it. So a little windy and cold that day, but we still got it done. So they're up and running and ready to go. So anybody wants to go out and try one out, they're down at the Meek. Also on Saturday, the Legion, the veterans do memorials at Somerville. No, that's on Monday. Saturday is Poplar Grove at 9 o'clock. Phillipsport Community Center at 9:45. The Burlingham Cemetery at 10:30 and Pine Hill at 11:15. That's Saturday. Yep. Starting at 9 o'clock at Poplar Grove. And then on Monday at 9 o'clock, there's a ceremony at the Somerville Firehouse for the veterans. If anybody's never made it there and you want to see something cool, is 2 Army men start on 209 all the way in Port Jervis, and they travel the whole thing to Kingston, I think even farther than that. So usually when the service is going on at 9 o'clock, they're walking by Somerville. It's a pretty neat thing with their flag and people beeping at them the whole time, showing support. And at 11 o'clock, it's at the Bloomberg Cemetery. So that's pretty much my report just for the board. And sent you the stuff for the handbook. So if you get a chance to scroll through that, she would like an answer as soon as you can. So that's my report. Huh? Yes. Yep. All right, next is the abstract number 10 for $64,097.75. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gary,
Second.
second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the financial reports. Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Motion by Matt, second by Tyler. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from 5/6/25.
Motion.
Motion by Tyler, seconded by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Off to the resolutions. Approve the budget modifications. Motion by Gary,
Second.
second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the public hearing, we're still open. The brute due process letter for the planning board member, that will be for June 3rd. Can I get a motion to put that
Motion
out?
for the due process level for June 3rd.
Motion by John Roofer, second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. I know we have a couple. Did you get Karen's?
I got the town clerk's report. You read most of it.
Okay,
The big thing is the parade Monday.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock step off, but lineup is like 12:30. It's fun. All the way around the village of Wurtsboro, back to the Wurtsboro Firehouse for food and ice cream and celebrating. Not really celebration. It's Memorial Day. I talked to the troopers next door. Nothing really to report. They wanted to remind everybody it is seatbelt month or something like that. So they're looking for seatbelt violations. So click it or ticket, I guess. Everybody wears their seatbelts now. Unless you want to hear their car ding a million times. I mean, I could talk about Community Shred Day. You want me to talk about that?
Sure.
All right. Community Shred Day, July 19th. Mark it in your calendars. A couple of months from now. It's free for Mamakating residents with proof of residency. You don't have to sign up. Just bring your documents, your container of documents to the town hall parking lot, and they'll shred it right in front of you so you can witness it.
Anybody else have any committees?
Looks like
But I do have a board meeting, next year, June 4th, the first Wednesday
It's at the Village of Bloomberg at 6 o'clock. If anyone would like to come, more than happy to have you.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Anybody else? We didn't get any, all right, we didn't get anything from the meet, but they have a array of things that are happening, so go, check out their website, and it's also on our website. Okay, go ahead, Renee.
Okay, that alarms have been done, started. I have been researching pension applications from the Revolutionary War. I've collected a lot of them, and matched it with the cemeteries in which they are. Okay, a lot of the information was sent up to John Conway, who is you forget, and on the second of this is the fact. Oh, my own. I've been encouraged by the AR and the SAR and all of them to compile what I have gotten together and complete it into a book for the town meeting, which is my goal. Now, on this particular the French and Indian War, the American Revolution, the War of 1812, and the Civil War are all in this Stanton Cemetery. Okay, so the ones that we are honoring and the ones that got us the, was the 250, 250 years, the Revolution, okay, this is our stand up at New County. Sullivan County can't really do it because they farm us. So it is up to management to be able to produce what I have been able to produce. So they asked me for 4. I got them 7 that they accepted. Okay, and he said he hasn't had anybody that this is Tim Millbrook with the SAR for the state. He says he hasn't gotten this kind of response from anybody that I don't have the information for them. So please, Mountain Joy, Pomeroy only acts on primary sources. So you have to be accurate. You can't take something from a book and say, well, look, it's written here. That's not what they want. They want actual documents. So on this day to help commemorate, I put together a small booklet, which will be handed out. So at least the first one will lie. The other, so please don't worry that. Thank you. Yeah, I have it somewhere already there to gather them up already. I'm always.
Thank you, Renee.
Good.
And thank you again, Verdana, for all hard work you've done. No more announcements. All right, so public comment, 3 minutes each individual for any new business. Go ahead, Janet.
Good evening, I'm Janet Leibold. I am co-chair for the D&H Canal Bicentennial Committee. And on June 13th of this year, we will be celebrating the 200th anniversary of the first shovelful that the D&H Canal put into the ground. So we've been working as a committee for over a year to bring different events on that day. It is the day, unfortunately, after Founder's Day. It's going to be a very busy weekend for the town. But I just wanted to let people know that at 12 o'clock with cannon fire and the church bells ringing, we will have a parade starting on Pine Street, going up to 4th, going onto Sullivan Street and ending at 85 Sullivan Street, which is the house that is across the street from Pastadoro and approximately where the first shovelful at Dr. Morrison's house occurred. So we encourage everybody to come out and watch the parade. If there's anybody who wants to participate in the parade, please let us know. And then following the parade, we will have recreation of Philip Hone, who was the first president of the canal, his speech, and a few other speeches. And then in the yard at 85 Sullivan, we will have different activity tables set up for grown-ups and for children. We will have music from the 1800s playing. We'll also have an 1800s fashion show and a few other things going on at that time. So I encourage people to come see the parade and then come down to 85 Sullivan. And then later at the firehouse from 7 to 9, we're having a costume ball. And the firehouse holds 100 to 110 people. So it's important that we do these ticket sales ahead of time. So I encourage anybody who would like to come. Costumes are optional, but you can dress up in 1800 clothing. There is a costume place in Port Jervis, Marlow, if you so choose. And we will have a caller who's calling the old-fashioned dances, and she will have music, and we'll have light refreshments. So if anybody does want to come, please go on the Wardsboro Board of Trade's website, and you can get the information and give me a call, and we'll arrange to get your tickets for you. Any questions, please just give me a call at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Looking forward for a wonderful day that day to celebrate our D&H Canal. So I
July
know the board's
13th.
put a lot of work into it.
July 13th, right?
Yes, July 13th. Yep. So, any other comments? Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, this is a legal question. The people that don't live in Mamakating, such as the villages, I don't think they have standing here to give their point of views of where they live, and if they don't live in the town of Mamakating. Is that, Mr. Attorney, is that correct?
That is not correct.
You're on the board, you're an elected person, you're on the board, that's what you're here for, to give your opinions, there's 6 of you, and you do yours, makes a 7th opinion. I have no issue with that, you're an elected person, and you may speak, of course.
Chris, even somebody who lives outside of the town, outside of the villages and outside of the town has a right to speak at a public hearing.
I've been around here for a couple of years, and I'm listening to the gist of what the people are saying. It seems to me most of these people have moved here, and they don't have any concept as much as I have, because I've been here before the Quickway was here. I like to hear what the people are saying. I could care less if there was another shovel in the ground at all. I could care less. I've survived this many years. There's a bakery, there's what all these places are. I've survived it, and I don't know why we need all of this stuff for business or whatever. But you gotta drag me to the grave. There's absolutely not. I'm with the public. This is what they moved here for. The beautiful one lady said about coming over the mountain, seeing all the trees, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna, elaborate on everything everybody said, but that's where I'm at, and thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Mary Allison.
Allison Farley, just if I can jump back to the topic of the public hearing, as others were just doing. A suggestion would be, since there's so much interest in the issues that have been raised, it would really be helpful if whoever handles the website for the town, could you make a place with all the documents? So when Lori tells us the last planning board meeting video shows the discussion, put that with all the documents that you're gonna give us. Put it together on the homepage. Speaking as a librarian here, give them the one-click access so that they don't have to go all over searching. Just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Brittany, you have anybody online?
I do. Emily would like to speak.
Oh,
Emily?
Emily?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
So my family had a party at the town park over the weekend, and we rented out the building with the kitchen where we normally vote, and there was 3 babies all under the age of 1, and I and the other 2 mothers, which were cousins of mine, we had to do diaper changes out in our car because the women's room has no changing table. So I was just looking to make a suggestion if the town could look into putting a changing table into either the women's room and or the men's room, just as a suggestion, so that we don't have to do diaper changes out in the car.
Okay, thank you. That's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
You have anybody else, Brittany?
That's it.
Okay. So I do not have an executive session, so can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Tyler.
Wants to have it in the park.
Motion by Tyler.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Peter. Peter was the second.
You're welcome,
Yeah.
Ben.